first of all, before anybody even sits in my chair, I ask them where they're going and what they're doing. Okay. And I request them to be honest with me, because if you're going to be engaging in a little kissing and stuff, you're going to be fooling around. You got a date with a man or something. You better tell me, because that means you're going to have a different set of products.
This is the Transparency Podcast Show with hosts Shelby Chang and Michelle Herman from Long Beach, California, where we bring you life transformation stories, business, investment, personal development, entertainment, and more.
Michelle, let me ask you a question. When you first started transitioning, have you ever go to a makeup artist
I took some online classes during the pandemic.
Yeah,
but that was about it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because I remember when I first started, I started like doing some modeling gigs, and I did hire a makeup artist to help me to look, because I don't know how to do makeup.
Awesome. Yes.
I was horrible. So today, our special guest, she's kind of like a personal friend of mine.
Awesome.
And she's been very supported since the start of my transitioning, coming out about 10 years ago.
Love it. Yeah.
And she has this business doing makeup for trans people and photo shoots. And so we'll let her talk about her business today.
Excellent.
Yeah, her name is Gina Ortiz.
I'm really excited to meet Gina.
Thank you for having me. It's really, really nice to be here. Thank you. Really good to see you, Shelby.
Yeah, same here.
And nice to meet you, Michelle.
I've heard great things about you, so I'm excited about this time.
So hopefully they're true.
They are.
Yeah. So
I'm sure they are.
Tell us about your background and a little bit about your business.
Well, I'm 54, and happy birthday. My first exposure, I guess, to this world was when I was 14 years old. And I was friends with a local drag queen named Chantel Austin. And she invited me to come photograph one of her performances. Wow. As a boy, he ran this pet store that I used to go to when I had this little baby snake. Mm-hmm. So I'd go in on Saturdays and I would buy baby mice. And one time I came in, I happened to have my camera around my neck, and he came screaming up to me, oh my gosh, are you a photographer? And I made a joke. I said, no, actually, I just wear this around my neck to meet boys. And he just looked at me, and I said, see, it worked. So anyway, we started talking. He said, our regular photographer is canceled. We have this huge performance in a couple of days. Can you come down to Civic Center Park? And I said, Civic Center Park? That is the People's Fair. He says, yeah, we're going to do a little show there. He didn't tell me that it was the main stage and there was 15 other drag queens, and it was like the main attraction. Yeah. The Civic Center Park holds, 500,000 people once a year. So I was, of course, nervous as a cat, but I got there early to let everybody know that I was there. And I went backstage and I watched him go from a furry farm boy with overalls and muddy boots. Yes. I knew him as Perry. But that day, he turned into Barbara Streisand right in front of me. Wow. I watched him do this incredible makeover that literally, like from shaving all the way to taping his hair, or taping his face all out. And, and when he turned around, I got goosebumps, because it was just like Barbara Streisand. If you would have seen him at the airport, he would have gotten smothered for autographs. That's how much he looked like Barbara Streisand. And I'll never forget that day. People ask me all the time how I got into this, and that was the day, because I watched him turn from a man into this incredibly glamorous, elegant woman, and I thought, oh my God, I have to do that.
Yeah.
So long story short, he kind of took me under his wing and introduced me to all the other drag queens. Later, when I brought all of the photos in for them to all see,
right,
because I had like a couple hundred 8x10s that I toiled over in my darkroom at home. I made all these color 8x10s and brought them in. And all the queens were sitting around this big table at this, like a Denny's kind of restaurant. And they looked at them and just, oh, swoon, you're only 14. Oh my God. Wow. And they invited me to all the shows. And before I knew it, they were taking care of me. When I got sick, they'd bring soup and coming over and kind of helping me fix up my apartment and everything. And I learned makeup from her.
Amazing.
Wow.
But it was many years later that I wanted to actually pursue it as a career. I went through the music industry and publishing and all this other stuff. When I moved to LA is when I decided to go full bore with it.
Wow. So you kind of, because drag queen is more like a showbiz. So the makeup is kind of different from let's say a trans person
very
per
much
se,
so.
right?
Very much.
So how do you like doing drag queen for the show to meaning like have clients for like trans people that want to be?
It's a good thing that you asked me that because I met a lot of trans people along the way when I was hanging around in the drag circles because back in Denver in the 80s, that's the only place they could go out.
80s.
Was a drag club.
Okay.
And so transgender people were still in very deep hiding back then.
Yeah.
I was just a kid. And so to see a trans person out in the normal world, you know, they were subject to all kinds of, you know, terrible.
Trouble.
And I think, excuse me, I think that was part of my need, I guess, if you will, not the desire, but the need to help them. Because there was no one else that would. There was nowhere else they could go. I was already used to that world. I was already more comfortable in that world than I was the straight world.
Right.
Anyway, because I felt kind of rejected from that part of society too in my own way. And it felt like whenever I was working with a queen or with a trans woman that it was like sort of all in the family. It was kind of like our little club. And that we could be ourselves and we could listen to the music we loved and we could dance around and we could be silly without, you know, being judged. Right. And so I always felt that that was more for me. You know what the real challenge was, though, because I was raised kind of doing drag makeup to learn how to do normal straight makeup. Tone that down. There's no point of no purples and pinks here, please. And so it was very hard for me to adapt to that style of makeup and the no makeup look. To me was harder.
Wow, interesting.
So there's no big white pan sticks and there's no long lashes and there's none of the black liquid line. There's none of those things. It was literally just really clean blending and hardly very, very subtle makeups. And that was my big learning curve. That's actually when I wanted to go to makeup school.
Oh, wow.
Because I wanted to learn better how to do makeup on real girls. Or so. So it was said on the very first day of makeup school, we all introduce ourselves and say what we do. And I said, I've been doing drag makeup since I was blah, blah, blah. And so the teacher said, well, then you better be ready to learn some really plain, boring makeups because this is my degree is actually in film and television.
Okay.
So I have to learn how to make anybody look good on the fly in 2 minutes or less.
Oh, wow.
If they're on a make or a film set, they don't have a long time for makeup. I have to get them ready and out that door in seconds.
Yes.
And you never know what you're going to get, who's going to sit in your chair. It could be a man, it could be a woman, it could be someone old.
Right.
So that's what makeup school taught me. And I'm actually really proud of that because I thought I knew everything about makeup before I went to makeup school. And boy, was I wrong.
Wow.
So did you ever put any makeup on any famous person that we know?
No.
No.
Okay. Not that she could tell us anyway.
I've done little movies that no one's ever seen.
Oh, yeah.
I did Sally. Was
independent
it
films?
Sally Kellerman? No, not Sally Kellerman. What's her name? Sally Kirkland? That's about as famous as I ever got.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
I love it.
So. Yeah. So you start get involved in the LGBTQ community in the 80s, correct? So I'm sure you've seen a lot of changes, a lot of
oh my God.
So can you kind of share what's the difference between now and then, like maybe 80s, 90s?
I don't know if your listeners are actually going to appreciate that because I'm divided right down the middle with that. In some ways, I think it's amazing changes for the better. And then some changes are just suck. Some changes are horrible. Right. And I hate to say it, but I blame and credit social media for both. Because in one way, I think that the community has come way out of hiding, which is great. Yeah. And that they're blessed that now they have this huge community. They're not alone anymore. They're not in shame anymore. They're not living in this horrific, dark place of shame and suicidal feelings and alcoholism and all kinds of terrible, destructive behaviors that trans people were, when they thought that they were alone, that's what they centered toward. Right. So they've been freed. Yay. And all of these terrible habits are falling off and now they're making friends and they're having events. Because I know, Shelby, you have a lot of events. I know that you've had a lot of gatherings and stuff at the beach and clothing swaps and stuff. Yes. And so Shelby here gives people somewhere to go that isn't a bar.
Yeah, outside of.
And that's important because sometimes some of us are in recovery and don't want to, we want to socialize, but we don't want to go to a bar.
Exactly.
We don't want to hear where you have to scream at each other.
Totally.
And so to be outside at the beach or go to Dawn's for a clothing swap or something like that is
Super
wonderful.
Bowl parties.
She's been actually really important in that part of the community. So in that way, I think it's really helpful that social media has brought everybody out. And let's get rid of all that shame and let's put on our fanciest dress and go out and go dancing. And now people aren't afraid to go to regular restaurants. And now people aren't afraid to go shoe shopping.
I was just telling Michelle that she just came out starting transition 2 years ago only.
That's all?
Yeah, that's all. See, that's all.
Oh my God.
So I realized like the newer generation girls, they are coming out fast and then they are totally know what to do.
Yeah.
Like myself, you see, 10 years ago, I have no clue.
That's because there was no information out there.
And I would have been in the same place. I've had a few people that I've seen come out, and even in the industry that I was in nonprofit and in ministry, where some key people came out, and that just showed me that I could do it. And so back in the 80s, you didn't have that. There was no one that had come out, and everybody was still in hiding and fearful. And that's how I think it's funny that people say, oh, it's so trendy now. Everybody is becoming transgender. No, we're just talking about it now because we haven't been able to before.
I want to slap people when they say that. That drives me nuts. Oh, it's so in to be trans. No, it's not. That's bravery 101 that you're seeing. It's not trends or following anything. It's bravery.
I talk a lot on social media about it's not a choice.
It isn't.
If I had a choice, I would have not chosen this. I would still be with my family. I would have a relationship with my kids. And I would be doing what I would normally be doing. But I'm very happy with this now because it's who I am. But it's a costful, painful road.
I know. And I guess from a service provider's point of view, I hear, and I don't mean to diminish anything that you're saying. I have to be really careful not to do that. But I hear that story every day.
Yes, exactly.
Of how hard they fought.
Totally.
And what they had to sacrifice, what they had to give up.
Cost is great.
Some people are really lucky. And, do you remember TS Roadmap?
The website?
The one website
yes.
that was like the first thing.
Yes, I do.
That Andrea James and Calpurnia Adams created this wonderful website called TS Roadmap. And I remember looking at that. I think when it first, I can't tell you the date that it launched, but it was around the time and there was almost no information on it.
But the original stuff.
But the fact that there was a voice coming through a computer screen for someone to follow and to read. And I thought, okay, this is going to help me even as a service provider because sensitivity and just knowing having a little bit more information to work with when a client comes and knowing how to talk to them. And now they're everywhere. Those websites come and go. They're up and down every week. It's a different one and then they fold. But your original question about how the community has changed, I think that half of it has been a really great, positive empowering change. Right. And the other half isn't so nice. And I think that narcissism and exhibitionism and vanity, and I've seen that a lot because I'm a makeup artist and I'm kind of like, well, it's not really what I meant when I started. It wasn't about, I wanted to give people confidence, not egomania. I wanted to make them feel good about themselves to where they could go out and enjoy their life. I didn't want to turn them into a duck lift selfie addict.
So what kind of clientele do you have right now? Like, because I kind of noticed probably like 10, 15 years ago or club goers, right? Because like that at that time that we still have clubbing to go in our little community. So what about now? Like if people come to you, ask for your service, what are they planning to do?
I do about half and half. I do cross-dressers and I do trans women. Almost all of them are in their 40s. I have a very small percentage that are under 40. Most of them are older. Even I have one that's 82 or something.
Wow.
Who just transitioned in her 80s.
Oh my gosh. Good for her.
I know. It was just a wonderful story. Actually, was because her wife died. And it's so sad, but at the same time, she says, I'm just glad that I was able to come out before I died.
Oh my God.
He said, don't talk like that. And she goes, honey, I'm 82.
Wow.
And it could happen to me anytime. And I said, I'm so sorry about your wife. And she says, I am too. God bless her heart. She left me some of the best dresses I've ever seen. I said, oh my God. She goes, now I don't have to worry about going out and looking for a wardrobe. And I said, I'm glad that you could turn this into a positive thing. But my clientele has changed so drastically since I first started because, you met us. We were all these club tramps.
Yes.
And, it was Tiffany Amber Rhodes and Luann, and all of us would get together, and everybody had these hot pink short skirts and fishnet stockings and the big platform boots. Now almost that's not
a thing.
Not at all. Yeah. It's older, sophisticated, usually highly educated trans women. I do get some youngsters every now and then. Not very because I think that they started so young. When they started so much younger, the older generation, there's like a 25 or 30 year gap to where, I don't mean in their age, I mean when it was okay to come out.
Right.
So the kids that are out today, it's been okay to come out for the last 10 years or something, but before that.
And then you grew up with makeup as a normal part of your life.
Right.
Like I intentionally stayed away. I did a few times where I would just try to practice or whatever, but I was trying to be a man. And so I didn't let myself. And so when I transitioned to 52, I have a steep learning curve. So like all these brands and choices and what is my skin color and what's an undertone and so much.
I know I hear that so much, and I don't want to talk about future plans, but let's say that I'm working very hard on getting something really special going that's going to help with that teaching. And because that is it, that is 90% of it. Any client, no matter if they are white or black or young or old or from wherever or whatever culture background they're from, it always have the same questions. How do I know what my skin type is? How do I find out? Right. I don't want to go on YouTube and watch 700 videos that are going to tell me completely conflicting information.
Totally.
One video tells you one thing, and the very next video tells you the complete opposite. Exactly. And I'm like, well, there actually are tricks that you can do. Take a shower, wait a couple of hours, and then get a piece of paper and stick it on your face. Does it stick? Most likely your oily skin. Does it leave a mark? You can tell if your skin is oily or dry. Okay. Obviously, by a couple hours after your shower, if you feel your nose here and it feels oily, you got oily skin. And I know that it sounds really obvious, but it's actually not, because sometimes we're oily in some places and dry in others. Right. I have what's called combination skin. Most people do. Right. So things like that. And the most idiotic, what they think is an idiotic question actually isn't idiotic to me, because it's totally common sense. How are you supposed to know what mascara? How are you supposed to know what foundation? You can't ask, you can't look commercially, because every foundation company tells you theirs is the best. Yeah, every mascara tells you that theirs is the best. It's a load of BS. Yes. I have a basket at home that has about 100 different types of mascara in it, and I call it the mascara graveyard.
Exactly.
Because it's an addiction. I literally will go out to the store every time I see a commercial for a new mascara. I'm in the car shooting flames out of my butt to get there in time, and I buy it and I put it on, and it's awful, and it goes in the mascara cemetery.
And waterproof is a lie. I haven't found anyone that is actually waterproof.
Really? They don't mean you can go swimming in the ocean for a month and then
just lasting throughout the day.
Yeah,
sweating.
There's a trick to putting it on. There's a way that you're supposed to put it on. But to me, waterproof mascara is awful, because it's too hard to get off. Yes. And it's really hard on your lashes, and your lashes will actually break off.
Yikes.
And it's not good for your lashes. It comes with conditioning. It has bullshit. No, it doesn't. I know, Rick. I can read the damn ingredients. And if it does, it's got such trace amounts of it. It's trying to convince you that it's not going to rip your lashes out when you put it on. It's not true.
Wow. See, this is why we need you.
There's so many millions of little tricks, and I thought, I charge people per lesson, and I think we've just gone past this area where we can keep doing that. I don't think that's not a business model that's going to last very long. Everything is online now.
Yes.
Zoom happened.
Totally. Yes.
So
everybody transitioned.
It's all going on Zoom now.
So, do you help your client face off? Like, meaning after the night's over, do they come to you and take everything off?
Hell no. No, they used to, but I don't want people coming to my house at 3 o'clock in the morning drunk.
Exactly. Yeah.
Do you remember? Well,
So you like give them like,
we used to bring people
like for
over.
example, do you give them like a wipe or some sort? Yes. Tell them what to do.
Well, first of all, before anybody even sits in my chair, I ask them where they're going and what they're doing. Okay. And I request them to be honest with me, because if you're going to be engaging in a little kissing and stuff, you're going to be fooling around. You got a date with a man or something. You better tell me, because that means you're going to have a different set of products. You're going to have, the smudge kiss-proof lipstick, smudge-proof makeup in case he roughs you up a little bit. You got to be able to still look good when you get up in the morning. Right. Are you just going to go out dancing? Are you wearing a corset and breast forms? Because if you do, you're going to sweat more. You need these set of products now. But yes, I used to have people come to my house after the club, and I would take their makeup off, because we were all at the bar too and drunk. Yeah. So here comes Mayor Phil with a girl on each arm. I'm like, oh, they need their makeup off. Oh, they do, huh? And I'm in my jammies, half drunk. Oh my God. But no, I bring them, I give away little things of coconut oil. That's how I remove all my makeups is with coconut oil. It'll even remove adhesive. So it's really, really good on the skin.
Okay. So, if anybody listening or watching this show, if they want to inquire your business, where can they find you?
Yeah. Well, I actually have 2 websites. One is called tgtransitions.com. The other one is called tstransitions.com. You can probably guess which one was launched first. TS Transitions was first. That's when it was okay to say that.
Yeah.
And now it's not. So now it's TG. I forgot my own freaking website, tgtransitions.com.
Awesome.
Okay.
Very good.
And I did also see you offer franchising on your business.
I can't believe you know that.
Of course, I do my homework.
I'm trying.
So can you kind of tell us how that works?
Well, what I really want to, if someone were to ask me what my 2 biggest challenges were with this business, I would say...
what are your 2 biggest challenges with your business?
I was hoping you would ask me that. One is that I'm far away, and no matter where I am, I'm too far away. Even if I'm in the middle of the center of the city. Somebody's coming up from Orange County, or someone's coming up from the north. Having only one location in a city this size is so stupid.
Wow.
Because I'm missing out on so much work because I'm just too far away. Part of it is because you can't just drive 3 hours, do a 3 or 4 hour appointment, and then drive 3 more hours. You can't be gone that long. Right. No matter who you are, you can't. You don't go to the doctor for 9 hours. Right. When you go get your hair done, you're not gone for 9 hours. So it's really hard geographically. The other thing is that chances are, even if they do commit to that 3 hour drive, I'm booked. And that they have the one day off, and it's like, I want Saturday. I'm like, honey, everybody wants Saturday. Look, my calendar, I'm booked for the next 19 Saturdays. Yes, and so the idea was born for franchising through actually one of my cross-dressing clients who's a zillionaire said, Gina, he says, franchising is not where it's at. Licensing is where it's at. That's what you got to do. Wow. You need to license your brand to other people so they can buy into the business, run their own locations their way. Because the difference between licensing and a franchise is like, if you're a Subway and you want to buy a Subway or franchise a Subway sandwiches, you have to make the sandwiches exactly the way they do. You have to wear they have their signages and all their ugly uniforms, and everything is green and yellow. Everything has to be the same way. But if you license it, you actually can kind of do it your way. You can choose what services you want to offer. You can be trained by me. But I'm not going to come around and say, knock, knock, knock. I found out that you weren't doing your eyeliner the way I told you to do it. So it's a lot more flexible. It's obviously a lot less hassle when it comes to the regulatory side of it, the taxes and all that kind of crap. So, and I've been trying to do it for a while, but then once I felt like I was starting to make some progress, then COVID hit.
Of course, yes.
And everybody was afraid to do any kind of business. Nobody knew if anything was going to make it through that. Remember, it was such a nightmare. I mean, first of all, they closed my ass down because I was in a commercial building where we have cameras everywhere. And there was a lady underneath my floor that was doing hair, and she got caught doing hair, and they pulled her license.
Wow.
Oh, really?
They locked her. Yep, they bolted her front door. The owners of the building found out she was doing hair because there's a camera right there. So they locked her out of her own business, and they yanked her reported her to the board, and had her license pulled.
Wow.
And I was like, okay, well, I guess I won't be doing that.
Right.
Plus, no one wanted to come because I'm touching eyes and noses and mouths.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Exactly.
and I was fine. I launched a nonprofit in that time.
Okay.
So just to keep myself
us
occupied, I
about
was
that.
losing my mind. It's called Helper Bee. It's for the homeless. It's for where people donate food and clothing to the homeless, and they bring it to me, and I take it out into the streets. So they don't have to drive downtown and drop it off to any of these horrifically now dangerous, really dangerous places now. Or they don't have to look around for places to donate, because a lot of these homeless organizations, they have 80 to 100 staff members that are making $80,000 to $100,000 a year. So your cash donations are mostly going to the people who are working there. And almost none of it actually gets to the street. So if you're talking about a homeless family, a woman living in her car with her 2 little kids, I know where they're parked. And so I would take stuff to them personally and knock on the door of the car and say, you guys hungry?
Wow.
And it was really fun because I don't have a boss. So I can go wherever the hell I want. If I want to go to Venice one day or go down to, in North Hollywood, they're everywhere now. So, and that was fun, but it didn't go anywhere. We needed a lot of money and couldn't raise it. And it was the bureaucracy, blah, blah, blah. But I'm trying. Okay. Still trying.
Still there,
Thank you for doing that. So I also, when I talked to you a couple of weeks ago, you also mentioned you are kind of expand your business to a different sectors, right? You're like, I just heard you say courses, maybe books.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about that just yet.
Okay.
I want to be
cat out of the bag.
Yeah, I just don't want to take the chance of somebody beating me to it.
Yeah.
Because it's a really great idea. And so better to keep ideas to yourself until you can actually do them before
so we can
steals
just keep watching the website.
Yeah,
and
watching
stay posted.
Yeah, exactly. But it's going to be in the next couple of weeks that it launches. So I can tell you that. And it's really exciting.
So something for us to look forward to.
Yay. And you personally, I think you will enjoy it because you said something about sometimes struggling with your makeup and not knowing what products.
Totally. Yes. Exactly. All right.
Oh, and I am writing a book.
Okay.
That I don't have to worry about disclosing because everybody has a book. But mine is just for trans women. And it's been years in the making. And I'm finally, once the other first idea kicks off in a couple weeks, then I can really get down and dirty with it. I don't know if anyone's going to read a book about makeup.
Yes.
Do people still buy books? I don't know.
They do.
But if it's something that you need
Even
to do.
if it's ebook,
if it's something you absolutely have to do, then just do it and get it over with. And maybe no one will see it or buy it or whatever, but at least it'll be out of your, you got to spit stuff out when it's in there. So
put it out in the universe.
Totally.
Okay. So,
there's some great business principles.
Yeah. Do you have any last piece you want to share with everyone? Business, personal? Or Michelle, do you have any questions for Gina before we close off?
I'll let you talk first. I'm just amazed at your creativity. I love your heart and passion for our community.
Thank you so much.
And that it always, I'm going to tear up a little bit. It always touches me to see people that have gone so far out of their way for us.
Yes.
And I know so many of us, even in today, we feel alone and lost and not know exactly where to turn. But there's people like you that are lights in the darkness that are there specifically for us to help us navigate this journey that is so complicated and so costly and so everything and so exciting and invigorating as well. But so thank you. Thank you for your heart. Too. Thank you for
It's not a one-way street. It helps me. I don't know if I'm sure you know this. I'm a cancer survivor.
Oh, wow.
And so when that happened, I think everybody goes through this when they're diagnosed and when they're fighting for their own life, that they tend to try to bargain with the guy upstairs.
Yeah.
And I swear to you, I actually did make a pact that if I was given another chance, that I would spend the rest of my time helping others.
Wow.
And at that moment, I was already in that universe. I was already involved in that universe. So it just seemed natural to stay where I was comfortable, to teach what I actually know,
Right.
instead of trying to learn something in order to teach it.
Totally.
Yes.
Which is already so needed.
It felt like no one else is doing this. And I've seen other people pop in and look around and pop back out.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, so there's been lots of artists that have come along to the community and said, I know, I'll do trans women.
Yeah.
And they look around and they realize that this is hard work.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's, you know, it's an up and down community. Sometimes they'll help you help them, and sometimes they will not help you help them.
Yes.
Sometimes
Yeah.
they are very difficult.
Particular. Yes.
Right. And so if you don't have a backbone to stay in a community that sometimes don't want your ass there. And they, you know, they're moody and they're up and down too, because they're going through so much in their lives. And sometimes they don't give a rat's butt about makeup. They've got bigger problems. And if I can't help them with those problems, then I'll help them with the little ones. You know, you might be going through hell, but you are going to look good when you do it.
I love it.
And if I can help that, then,
that's amazing to me. I love that, because it is so hard. And to have, for me, makeup was probably one of the biggest question marks. And not having any idea how I was going to look during transition or any of the end results. But makeup
really
was
good to me.
Thank you. Makeup was a long haul.
I know.
And so
I know.
the fact that you're still committed after all these years, and even when we can be very difficult,
But you know what? What makes up for it is when you see that light go on. Yeah. And when you see somebody go, oh my God, that's all that is this whole time I've been struggling. And all it is like, for instance, trying to put on false lashes. Almost everyone holds them the wrong way. You're holding them like this and you can't go on. They can't go on. You can't go. You pull them back off. And I'm like, honey, turn them upside down. Grab them this way. And they put them on. Oh my God. And so that's actually what I live for. Those little moments when someone gets it, or when they do their makeup completely beginning to end by themselves without any guidance whatsoever, and they take a picture and they send it to me.
Yes.
And I'm like, see?
Drop.
And I get goosebumps when that happens. I figured I'll know when it's time to quit when I stop getting goosebumps. But right now I still do. When someone learns something, it's so meaningful to me. So it really, and you, by the way, you can email me anytime. You can, all you got to do is ask me.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know,
I've seen your website for years.
It might take me 1 or 2 days to get back to you, but I will eventually. And send me a question. Email me a question, and I'll send you pictures. I'll send, here you go. Here's the fake. I wrote the novel about this very thing. So that's because that's what it's not about makeup for me. It's about confidence.
Yes.
It's about having the guts.
Authenticity.
Guts to go outside. That's all.
Right.
Yeah.
Just having the guts to go outside. It's hard enough out there. It's scary as shit out there.
That first time for
Especially
everybody.
if you look bad. Oh, I had this one cross-dresser come over to me one time at 7:00 in the morning, begged me if I'd let her in. And she drunk. Had her wig completely sideways and had like this really like Mimi from the Drew Carey show, blue eyeshadow and the smeared lips. And I said, wow. I said, this is a joke, right? Somebody sent you here. No one could be doing makeup that bad. No one.
Wow.
It's not possible. She says, well, and I was like, oh God, come in. So I know that it's out there. It's like, there should be just some common sense involved with makeup. Most people are pretty decent at it. I don't expect anyone to be, Kevin Aquana overnight, but the whole red thing, honey.
Yeah. We live in a world that seems to have less and less common sense now, though, than we had maybe in the past.
We've been dumbed down.
Yeah.
Because people are social media has made everyone stupid.
Yes. Well, I am really glad to know you, and thank you so much for your heart and your commitment to our community.
Thank you guys so much for having me.
Thank you for coming.
You gave us some great business principles as well.
Thank you so much.
Licensing over financing,
franchising,
streams of revenue, and so.
Yes.
Thank you so much. It's been really fun.
So you have to come back when you're ready for your.
Will you have me
your
back
course,
when I'm ready to make my big announcement? Yeah. Oh my God, I love that. I really appreciate it.
All right,
That'd be wonderful.
Thank you. That's it. We'll come back next time and see who will be our next guest. Bye.
Thank you, everybody. See you guys later. Bye-bye.